Hi everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett. I come to you today with unfortunate news regarding the San Juan Generating Station. A few months ago, the city initiated legal action against Public Service Company of New Mexico and other exiting co-owners of the San Juan Generating Station to protect the plant's future viability because the exiting owners were beginning to auction off key equipment that the plant needed for continued operation. It is common knowledge that the 2017 agreement between the co-owners provides clear language in favor of the last remaining owner, in this case the city, taking over ownership and operations of the plant after the other owners exit from the plant. Over the last few years, the city has diligently negotiated with the exiting owners to implement transfer of the plant assets and operation to the city. Those efforts, however, were thwarted by a strategy that is best described as running the clock out by exiting owners. As a result, the city not only had good faith basis to request injunctive relief through the arbitration process, but we believe that we had a duty to do so on behalf of our constituents, as discussed in more depth here. Quite surprisingly, on December 14, 2022, an arbitration panel denied the city's request to stop the exiting owners from auctioning off equipment critical to ongoing plant operations. Effectively, this meant that San Juan Generating Station would be dismantled prior to the city being able to have a hearing on the merits of the terms of the 2017 agreement. Disappointingly, rather than focus on the terms of that agreement, the arbitration panel cited two other factors outside of the terms of the agreement as justification for denying the city's request for protection. The city took a stand on these issues at the urging of our constituents who are facing losing their jobs, but who wanted to stay in our community to raise their children. As a result, we first began our efforts to keep the power plant open when P&M and environmental groups supported shutting the plant down through the enactment of the Energy Transition Act. At that time, San Juan Generating Station had just recently been retrofitted with state-of-the-art pollution control technology totaling approximately $150 million and documented with the Public Regulation Commission that it intended on operating the plant all the way until 2053 or its useful life. In exchange for closing San Juan Generating Station 30 years early, the ETA enabled P&M to recoup $375 million, up to 150% in costs associated with shutting down the plant prior to the end of its useful life, and an unspecified amount in transition and financing costs associated with early shutdown. Based on independent third-party review, the closure of the power plant and the mine was anticipated to result in a loss of over $53 million annually in state and local tax revenues, along with a projected 1,500 direct and indirect jobs, amounting to a recurring loss of over $100 million in annual wages. Given the huge impact that closing the power plant 30 years early would have on the regional community, the city and other regional entities fought hard at the legislature to convince them to give our community enough time to keep the plant open with carbon capture technology so we could work with our regional partners to diversify our economy. As a part of that effort, we were reassured publicly by the legislatures and the governor that if carbon capture project was viable, they would support extension of the limitations in the ETA to enable the project to move forward. Based on successful completion of the front-end engineering design, the carbon capture project has been demonstrated to be technologically and financially feasible. Additional reasons that the city deemed it a duty to engage in this effort were: one, that the implementation of the ETA would saddle the customers of the Farmington Electric Utility with stranded costs in the amount of $23 million and $40 million associated with having to build the first round of the most immediate need for replacement generation resources. And two, the ETA and similar initiatives in other states would increase costs, not just for P&M's customers, but would also increase costs for customers of other electricity providers, including our own utility. Unfortunately, the concerns we had have now come a reality. Caused by a shift from reliance on coal to natural gas, the global natural gas market is experiencing unprecedented volatility along with price increases in the cost of fuel used to generate electricity and the cost to purchase electricity from the market. As recently announced by Farmington Electric Utility, these circumstances are even requiring nonprofit electricity providers like our utility to increase customer rates. The Farmington Electric Utility announcement describing these impacts in more detail will be provided as a link on our website. For the past few years, the city has endeavored to keep San Juan Generating Station open with Enchant Energy by installing carbon capture and sequestration technology. Carbon capture is a proven technology that is capable of removing 95% of carbon dioxide from the power plant. Recently, the carbon capture project completed the FEED study, pursuant to the strict requirements of the U.S. Department of Energy and other key milestones, which established technological and economic viability of the carbon capture project. In addition to being environmentally sound, if successfully completed, the carbon capture project would have protected members of our regional community by preserving and expanding jobs, increasing tax revenues for schools, and creating future career paths in carbon capture technology. Closure of San Juan Generating Station means that the Farmington Electric Utility will be required to either build additional capacity or buy electricity from the market, both of which will increase customer rates and incur costs associated with the city's stranded assets in San Juan Generating Station. Therefore, an additional benefit of keeping San Juan Generating Station open with carbon capture is that the Farmington Electric Utility System would continue to be able to keep customer rates low by receiving power from San Juan Generating Station. In fact, due to the city's endeavors to keep that power plant open, PNM was able to avoid major consequences to its customers by keeping the plant open from July to September. This circumstance also helped our utility customers in that it allowed the utility system to avoid having to take power from the market during those 3 months, which resulted in approximately a cost savings of $4 million to our ratepayers. These cost savings more than paid for the approximate $3 million in costs associated with our efforts to fight to keep this power plant open. Given PNM's and the other co-owners' actions to quickly dismantle San Juan Generating Station and the panel's recent decisions to allow them to do so, we have arrived at a point where those actions directly undermine the viability of successful implementation of the carbon capture project. For a region already facing economic challenges, we have worked diligently to try and keep this power plant open with new economic opportunities attached with it. Unfortunately, profit and the ETA have taken precedence over the livelihoods of real people and real families. And it's with a heavy heart that the City of Farmington announces its withdrawal from the arbitration efforts and carbon capture project at San Juan Generating Station. I deeply regret that the arbitrator's decision means we are not able to help our dislocated workers support their families and can only offer as consolation that we will continue our efforts to help mitigate these devastating impacts by continuing to support initiatives to diversify our economy through various regional efforts. I know this is a tough time of year to process news like this. I certainly have not processed it well myself. It's devastating to see what the impacts can be in losing 1,500 direct and indirect jobs, to losing a local tax base that's helping fund your schools and are dedicated to your students, and to see the families that we know and we love here, our neighbors, who are going to be struggling and going to be looking for work, not just here in San Juan County, but elsewhere. And that's my biggest fear and my biggest regret. That's who I was working for in this endeavor. That's who your city council was wanting to make sure that they took care of, was the workers who are here now and the families that we care and we love. So I ask you, let us face this challenge together as we have past challenges, recognizing that there will be other hiccups throughout our lifetime that we are going to have to overcome. But I know we can do it. We do it every day. So continue to support your friends, your families, your neighbors to the best of your ability. Look for opportunities and places and resources that are available in this community for those who are displaced. And know that through your efforts and our efforts, we will overcome this together and work towards a bright future for the City of Farmington, San Juan County, and the Four Corners region.